Today I'm going to read two stories. The first one is the story of Mahakassapa, and the second story is the story of Garahadinna. The story of Mahakassapa, one residing at the Viluvana monastery in Rajagaha. The Buddha uttered verse 56 of this book with reference to Mahakassapa. Arising from Nirodha Samapatti, Mahakassapa entered a poor section of the city of Rajagaha for alms food. His intention was to give a poor man an opportunity of gaining great merit as a result of offering alms food to one who had just come out of Nirodha Samapatti. Saka, king of the devils, wishing to take the opportunity of offering alms food to Mahakassapa, assumed the form of a poor old weaver and came to Rajagaha with his wife Sujata in the form of an old woman. Mahakassapa stood at their door. The poor old weaver took the bowl from the Thera and filled up the bowl with rice and curry, and the delicious smell of the curry spread throughout the city. Then it occurred to the Thera that this person must be no ordinary human being, and he came to realize that this must be Saka himself. Saka admitted the fact and claimed that he too was poor because he had had no opportunity of offering anything to anyone during the time of the Buddhas. So saying, Saka and his wife Sujata left the Thera after paying due respect to him. The Buddha, from his monastery, saw Saka and Sujata leaving and told the bhikkhus about the Saka offering alms food to the Mahakassapa. The bhikkhus wondered how Saka knew that Mahakassapa had just come out of Nirodha Samapatti, and that it was the right and auspicious time for him to make offerings to the Thera. This question was put to the Buddha, and the Buddha answered, Bhikkhus, the reputation of a virtuous one as my son, Mahakassapa, spreads far and wide. It reached even the Deva world. On account of his good reputation, Saka himself has come to offer alms food to him. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows: The scents of rhododendron and of sandalwood are very faint, but scent of the virtuous is the strongest. It spreads even to the abyss of the devas. Second story, the story of Garahadinna. While residing at the Jedhavana monastery, the Buddha uttered verse 58 and 59 of this book with reference to a rich man named Garahadinna and the miracle of the lotus flowers. There were two friends named Sirigota and Garahadinna in Savatthi. Sirigota was a follower of the Buddha, and the Garahadinna was a follower of the Nigandas, the ascetics who were hostile to the Buddhists. At the instant of the Nigandas, Garahadinna often said to Sirigota, What benefit do you get by following the Buddha? Come, be a follower of my teachers. Having been told thus many times, Sirigota said to Garahadinna, Tell me, what do your teachers know? To this, Garahadinna replied that his teacher knew everything. With their great power, they knew the past, the present, and the future, and also the thoughts of others. So, Sri Gaura invited the Nigandas to his house for us food. Sri Gaura wanted to find out the truth about the Nigandas, whether they really possessed the power of knowing other people's thoughts, etc. So he made a long, deep trench and filled it up with excreta and filth. Seeds were then placed precariously over the trench, and beef empty pots were brought in and covered with cloth and banana leaves to make them appear as if they were full of rice and curries. When the Nigandas arrived, they were requested to enter one by one, to stand near their respective seats, and to sit down simultaneously. As all of them sat down, the flimsy strings broke, and the Nigandas fell into the filthy trench. Then Sri Gaura taunted them, "Why don't you know the past, the present, and the future? Why don't you know that those are others?" All the Nigandas then fled in terror. Garahadinna naturally was furious with Sri Gaura and refused to talk to him for 2 weeks. Then he decided that he would have his revenge on Sri Gaura. He pretended that he was no longer angry, and one day asked Sri Gaura to invite on his behalf the Buddha and his 500 disciples to partake of ants food. So Sri Gaura went to the Buddha and invited him to the house of Garahadinna. At the same time, he told the Buddha about what he had done to the Nigandas, the teachers of the Garahadinna. He also expressed his fear that his invitation might be a reprisal, and so the invitation should be accepted only after due consideration. The Buddha, with his supernormal power, knew that this would be the occasion for the two friends to attain Sodapati fruition, and therefore accepted the invitation. Garahadinna made a trench, fill it with live coals, and cover it with mats. He also kept some empty pots covered with cloth and banana leaves to make them appear as if filled with rice and curries. The next day, the Buddha came followed by 500 bhikkhus in single file. When the Buddha stepped on the mat over the trench, the mat and live coals miraculously disappeared, and 500 lotus flowers, each as large as a cartwheel, sprang up for the Buddha and his disciples to sit upon. Seeing this miracle, Garahadinna was very much alarmed, and he said rather incoherently to Sri Gaura, "Help me, dear friend, out of my desire for revenge. I have truly done a great wrong. My bad designs have had no effect at all on your teacher. The pots in my kitchen are all empty. Please help me." Sri Gaura then told Garahadinna to go and look at the pots. When Garahadinna found all the pots filled with food, he was astounded, and at the same time very much relieved and very happy. So the food was offered to the Buddha and his disciples. After the meal, the Buddha expressed his appreciation of the meritorious act and then said, "Ignorant worldlings, lacking in knowledge, do not know the unique qualities of the Buddha. the Dhamma and the Sangha, and so they are like the blind, but the wise, having knowledge, are like people with sight. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows: As a sweet smelling and a beautiful lotus flower may grow upon a heap of rubbish thrown on the highway, so also out of the rubbish heap of the beings may appear a disciple of the Buddha, who with his wisdom shines forth far above the blind worldlings. At the end of the discourse, both Garahadinna and Srigoda attained Saudabhati fruition. That's all. Today I read 2 stories, already finished. I hope after listening to these 2 stories, you got something lesson from these 2 stories. Actually, the Dhammapada stories are very excellent and profound. It is worth learning, studying, and listening. Next day, I will read another story of Dhammapada story from the Dhammapada storybook. Thank you all. Good night. May Trivijaya bless you all.